Hello everyone, this is Mr. Obvious, bringing you the obvious. And today we have a sad tale from Sweden, at Kettle's Mead, ad from an upcoming show called The First Swedes, about the first people to settle in what is today Sweden. Ah yes, a Swedish man, a Swedish ancestor. So as you can plainly see, this is yet again another example of historical revisionism, rewriting the past, changing things, all to fit a more progressive narrative. I mean, seriously, folks, whatever happened to historical accuracy? We've seen people, they understand it's not true. It's absolute fantasy. The original Swedish people were not African. Do I need to make that any more clear?
Listen up! Y'all don't understand. This land that you stand on, that you think is
Sweden.
This is actually Africa. The dear Mississippi that you love, that you know of, that's the Nile River.
And you can already see people in the comment section. Norna says, rewriting history one step at a time. Now, Jim Slid brings up something interesting, and something I really want to get across. He explains, it's called deconstruction, and a cynical tactic hatched out by cultural Marxists in the 1920s to destroy Western civilization. So what is deconstruction? What is this technique? Well, as we read about it, I'm sure you're going to find it truly shocking. And yet, it is seemingly all around us today. And finally, both have a method of analysis that automatically gives the answers they want. For the classical Marxist, it's Marxist economics. For the cultural Marxist, it's deconstruction. Deconstruction essentially takes any text, removes all meaning from it, and reinserts any meaning desired. This is very similar to Newspeak, in which words are reduced to nothingness with little meaning, and it is also related to doublespeak. I'm sure you're familiar with these terms. They're from 1984 by George Orwell, and they describe the butchering of language to change the meaning, to rob people of meaning, and to put in the meaning of the cultural Marxists. So we find, for example, that all of Shakespeare is about the suppression of women, or the Bible is really about race and gender. So they completely change the meaning. It's historical revisionism. Exactly like this new Swedish show, The First Swedes, that has someone who's not actually a Swede, claiming that this is a Swedish person, even though it's biologically impossible and historically inaccurate. All of these texts simply become grist for the mill, which proves that all of history is about which groups have power over which other groups. So the parallels are very evident between the classical Marxism that we're familiar with in the old Soviet Union and the cultural Marxism that we see today as political correctness. But the parallels are not accidents. The parallels do not come from nothing. The fact of the matter is that political correctness has a history that is much longer than many people are aware of outside a small group of academics who have studied this. And its history goes back, as I said, to the World War I, as do so many of the pathologies that are today bringing society and indeed our culture down. So remember Yuri. Remember Yuri the Prophet. This is exactly what he was talking about. This is exactly what they're talking about. And this is exactly what I'm talking about. They do this all the time. Oh, that's a good. Okay, so okay, this is epic says, we was Vikings. I think that's the official meme for this.
We Vikings.
Bodo Brugman says, Season 2, The Last Swedes. So thankfully, it is clear that even the Swedish people, I mean, this is literally the country where Stockholm Syndrome comes from, but even they can see how insane this is. Why are they trying to put their political agenda in everything? Because they're trying to corrupt you. They're trying to brainwash you. It's cultural Marxism 101. Look at me. I'm the Swedish now. There is an original article that shows this. I can't actually translate it, so I'm not exactly sure what it says. I do not know how to read Swede. Maybe I can use Google Translate to change this text. Okay, so according to Google Translate, this is what the description says. In 2 programs, archaeologist Jonathan Lidstrom travels around Sweden in the wake of those who populated the country after the Ice Age. He meets scientists who talk about wave after wave of people pouring into Scandinavia for thousands of years, and the legacy of the Stone and Bronze Age still lives. It is not only noticeable in the people's genes, but also in languages, customs, and fairy tales. Noticeable in the people's genes, huh? Yeah, this sure is making a lot of sense. Rewriting history one step at a time. But you know, that's just another day in Sweden. You know, it's kind of getting ridiculous. They keep doing this. They keep inserting historical inaccuracies where they do not belong. I would like my media to be historically accurate. I don't want to be force-fed the progressive agenda, and I certainly don't want to see any cultural Marxism, okay? Just let me enjoy a show. I really feel sorry for the Swedish people. And you know, I think this sort of thing just needs to stop. But that's merely the obvious. Well, that's all for now, folks. Let me know what you think about the first Swedes. What do you think about this show? Do you think it's accurate? Maybe we're all wrong. Maybe, in fact, the first Swedish people were Africans. This has been Mr. Obvious, and I'll see you all next time.
We use Vikings.